My name's Trevor Thayer. I'm the Technical Service Manager over here at TurboChef Technologies. Today we're going to go over how to replace the top heating element in our bullet oven here. For the most part, we're going to go over the gist of how to get the element back in. For additional resources on how to reassemble the unit, we'll refer you to our service manual. Alright, so this is the first step in removing the top heating element from the TurboChef bullet oven. First, you want to make sure that the oven is unplugged from the wall. And then in order to remove the top cover, you just need to remove one screw on each side. Shown here are Phillips screws. Some of the ovens in the field will have Torx security bits in them, or Torx security screws. You'll need a Torx T15 security bit to remove those. And it's just one per side. Once they're removed, you can stand behind the unit and grab the top cover and it should slap backwards, and then be able to pick it up from the back and remove from the oven. Alright, for the next part of the process, we're going to have to remove all of our components from the electrical plate in order to access the top heating element. That'll include both capacitors, which again you'll want to make sure you have confirmed that they are discharged before you start to remove them from the oven. You'll have to remove the magnetron along with both of its cooling ducts on both sides. Both cross members will need to be removed. Your relay board or triac board will need to be removed, as well as your filament transformers, the two smaller filament transformers underneath this cross member, and your high voltage transformers will need to be removed in order to get to that electrical plate.
Okay, you can see here I have all the components removed from our electrical plate. Always keep in mind that you want to take as many pictures as possible of all the components and the electrical connections before you start to disassemble. For whatever reason, while reassembling, if you miss any of the connections or you had lost your photos, you can always refer to our service manual. Not only will it have an exploded view of how the plate is put together, it'll also have the schematics to show the electrical connections. So to remove the plate, now that all the components are off, you'll just simply need to remove the Phillips head screws that are around the perimeter of the plate. Now that all the screws are removed from the electrical plate, it'll simply just lift up out of place. Now that the electrical plate has been removed, you can see the connections for your top heating element. So they're just two nuts. All you have to do is take the covers off of them and use your socket, wrench, or nut driver. So now that we can see our electrical connections, all you have to do is remove the covers from them and use a socket, wrench, or nut driver to remove the nuts in order to get the electrical connections off. Once you have your nuts off of the post, you can just lift up your ring terminals. There'll be a small washer that comes with it. Make sure you save that for later. Now the heating element itself is underneath this insulation. So you can see here where the insulation had been taped to cover the heating element. You'll need to remove that. You can either use a box cutter or any type of knife that you have to cut along these lines, or you can just remove. When replacing the insulation, you can use standard foil tape to tape it back down, and that shouldn't cause any issues. Now that the insulation is removed, we can see our top heating element. To remove it, you'll simply just remove all of these screws.
Okay, here we're going to go ahead and just put our insulation over our new heating element. So once that's back, you can tape back just with standard foil tape. When you put your ring terminals back onto the heating element, it is important when you put the nuts back on that you do not over tighten. If you hear it crunch or crack, the element has been damaged and would need to be replaced. Once those connections are back on, you can go ahead and reinstall your electrical plate, as well as all the other components that we took off. If you need any assistance with that, you can reference our service manual. It'll have exploded views as well as electrical diagrams to assist you in that process.